never stick. Empty words are dirty trick.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen.
Hate. It's time to change before too late. Rise above, break the mold. Find your voice, let truth be told. Shadows fade, light unfolds. Liberate your mind and soul. It's a cult, it's a lie. Can't you see? Open your eyes. Quit the chains, cut the ties. Before it's too late, realize. It's a cult, it's a lie. Can't you see? Open your eyes. Quit the chains, cut the ties. Before it's too late, realize.
All right, let's get this show started, ladies and gentlemen. You know why we are here.
It's like I'm stuck in time.
Welcome to the show. Happy Monday, yes.
And I can't escape it. It's like deja vu. It's me, Zeus. It's deja vu when I'm running up these racks. I'm like the Terminator screaming, I'll be back. It's deja vu when I'm out here flying first class. It's like every week I gotta take out the trash. I'm on top of my game, ahead of the class. You can tell that I made it, look at my grass. Cars in the garage with tanks full of gas. I play the game so well, I won't finish last. Sitting in my living room screaming how we made it. This is how it's supposed to happen when you reach your
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen.
Turn to a maniac.
Yeah, I guess we going viral because my zodiac.
I got all these numbers on my spreadsheet.
Benjamin Franklin is my bestie.
And if they use my ex, that mean they left me. They don't give me replies.
Here he goes. Here's the Zeus
I say
hater.
it with my chest cause I mean it. Got a lot of confidence and I'm conceited. Call me the master with a
Here's the
new
Zeus
wit.
hater right here.
I'ma take off in a spaceship.
I'll tell you what, I haven't gone into Zeus's live in a couple of days. That shit was radical.
Oh.
It was horrible. I'm like, Zeus has gone way off the rails.
It's like deja vu.
That's what they say when they don't have any answers, right? Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the show. That's a Zeus hater. All right, listen. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, we are back in the Thunderdome. I am your host. I'm your pilot, and you know exactly why we are here. I mean, we got so many things that are happening in this great country of ours. None of them are really good because guess who's in charge, right? But before we get into that, let's take care of some housekeeping items. For those of you who do not know who I am, I go by the name Zeus, or as some like to say, Triple H. And why do they call me Triple H, ladies and gentlemen? Well, it's quite simple. The first stage is because I'm honest. The most honest person on social media, hands down. All right. The second age is because I'm humble. There's nobody more humble than me. Listen, if I get it wrong, I'll be the first to apologize. But here's the thing. Just because your feelings are hurt, it doesn't mean that I owe you an apology at all. Most likely, what it means is you need to sit your specials behind down and continue to listen to the special broadcast. All right. And then the last and the final H, ladies and gentlemen, which I honestly believe, is one of the most important H's. It's because I am and will always remain the most handsome. Many of you are very familiar with what we do over here on this side of TikTok, on this side of town.
Okay, dude. So
what we do is very, very, very special. We hold our friends on the right, especially their dear leader, Donald J. Trump, accountable for every single one of their lies, all of their filthy deeds, and things of that nature, because we honestly understand right now we're living in perilous times, ladies and gentlemen. Unfortunately, I've had to come to the conclusion. W in the chat for power subscription. Thank you so much. I've had to conclude, based on just irrefutable evidence, that a majority, actually most Trump voters, are in a situation right now they've never ever been in out in public like this, right? Where they know good and well what Donald Trump is doing is causing them irreversible harm, but yet they're going to continue to put their heads down and continue supporting this man, all right? Because they know that the moment they poke their heads up, the Democrats and the rest of the Americans who were warning them are going to say, "I told you so." And it's going. This is to me. It's almost at a level now where It's getting painful. It really is getting painful to watch all of you Trump supporters continue to throw away your life savings for this man. I just can't believe it. I woke up this morning, ladies and gentlemen, and Donald Trump is going to lie his way through this fiasco. There's no other way he can even come clean at this point and say, hey, I made a terrible mistake. I rolled the dice and I tried to gamble on this thing and it didn't work. We know what he was trying to do. He was trying to pressure China and perhaps into selling TikTok. Maybe that's what this negotiation tactic is all about. But that didn't work because if you didn't hear it, China issued retaliatory tariffs and they told him to go ahead and you kick rocks with those so-called blanket tariffs. The second thing is we all know how to go and do the math. We all know how he came up with the percentages. Yeah, it has nothing to do with the tariffs that the countries were charging us from the very beginning. It has everything to do with what they call the trade deficit and the balance in between, right? And so we know he didn't even tell the truth to his own supporters about how he came up with those percentages. So now you got them. I've seen some of them. They've lost $7 million. Billionaires losing billions of dollars. Average Americans, 65% of Americans have their money tied up in the stock market in one way, shape, or form. And then, you got these knuckleheads out here who say, oh, listen, I didn't have any money in the stock market to begin with, so this is all good. You know who I'm talking about. I'm talking about the blacks for Donald Trump. But one thing is crystal clear. What he is promising, what he has been promising is never, ever, ever going to happen. How many people out there still believe in Donald Trump? I just want to make sure I check the temperature this morning because before I go any further, I got to warn you. There's going to be some information I share this morning and it's going to make you feel very, very uncomfortable. All right. And so if you don't want me to hurt your feelings, all right, you don't want Big Zeus or any of his friends to hurt any of your feelings this morning, just go ahead and leave this live and go hang out with those fake TikTok hosts because they'll lie to you. And they'll keep taking your money and telling you that your 401k, if you go to bed tonight and you'll wake up with a Doge golden envelope with a check for $5,000 signed by Donald Trump and Elon Musk. In addition, the savings that you had wiped out in just a few days, it'll be back in tenfold. They'll tell you stuff like that, but over here, I won't tell you that. I'm going to tell you, guess what? You're on your way to hell. So if you do not want me to ruin your breakfast, lunch, dinner, and everything in between, do us a huge favor. Leave right now. Because like I said, it's going to get very, very uncomfortable. But you don't got to take my word for it. Listen to your leader.
If you're not happy here, then you can leave. As far as I'm concerned, if you hate our country, if you're not happy here, you can leave. If you're not happy in the U.S., if you're complaining all the time, very simply,
thank you,
you can leave. You can leave.
It's going to a good cause.
Come back if you want. Don't come back. It's okay too.
But if you're not
happy, you can leave.
Into the Thunderdome. You're now officially in the Thunderdome. So I woke up this morning. There's measles outbreaks and stuff like that. But guess what, ladies and gentlemen? RFK is now actively advocating that people actually get the vaccine. Eventually, you know what happens when you don't want to face the truth? You end up getting smacked with the truth. That's just how life works. There are universal laws at play, ladies and gentlemen. And trust me, mankind, ever since mankind has been on the planet, they've always tried to buck up against these universal laws, only to find out that, unfortunately, you're not going to be able to actually make the universal laws change. No, you gotta play by them. So RFK, ladies and gentlemen, is now advocating that people get vaccinated. But think about how many lives have been lost. Think about all the people who even if they see what RFK says, they're so deep in the cult, they're not going to believe him. They're going to think the deep state got him. And this is what's going on in this great nation of ours. You know what happens if you end up taking in too many lies? You're not going to know what the truth is. And this is what's happening with each and every single one of you, you Trump supporters. So how many of you heard Donald Trump this weekend talking about, or not just this weekend, but when it comes to the economy and you're losing your money, he's telling you only the weak fail. You hear him saying things like that. Only the weak fail, right? And what he's doing is he's preparing his followers his supporters to go into the afterlife. You know what I'm talking about, right? He's preparing his supporters to go into the afterlife. And this is similar behavior that we've seen in other people who've gotten a stronghold over the weak minds of their followers. All right. He's preparing them. He said something that I want to make sure we get on the record and this is to me evidence that it really is a cult. I'm going to get this on the record, and he says something along the lines that you got to take medicine to fix it. All right, so let's get this on the record.
Mark, is there pain in the market? At some point, you're unwilling to tolerate this idea of a Trump put. Is there a threshold?
I think your question is so stupid. I think it's I don't want any. But sometimes you have to take medicine to fix something. And we have such a horrible, we have been treated so badly by other countries because we had stupid leadership that allowed this to happen. They took our businesses, they took our money, they took our jobs, they moved it to Mexico, they moved it to Canada, they moved a lot of it to China, and it's not sustainable. We're not going to do it. Now we have hundreds of millions of dollars is pouring into our country. On a monthly basis, it's pouring, it's already started. Because I put tariffs on. And eventually it's going to straighten out and our country will be solid and strong again.
How many people out there, I'm being serious. How many people out there think Donald Trump is a doctor? How many people think Donald Trump is a doctor? Because he suggested that you'd have to take medicine to fix something. How many people think Donald Trump is a doctor? And we've been down this road with him during C-19, right? Remember when he was talking about perhaps, you can do something with disinfectant and hit the body with a light. This is insane talk. This is that talk. This is the kind of talk you only hear in an insane asylum, right?
Insane asylums.
Right?
You know, they go crazy when I say the late, great Hannibal Lecter. Okay, they say, why would he mention Hannibal Lecter? He must be cognitively in trouble. No, these are real stories. Hannibal Lecter from Silence of the Lamb. He's a lovely man. He wants to have you for dinner. He'd like to have you for dinner.
You heard that? This is insane asylum talk. So I want to go read some transcripts from someone you all might know, Jim Jones. You know what he... And I said, are there any parallels between what Donald Trump is saying and what this, you know what he did, and we're not going to get too deep into it, but let me read some of the quotes. We didn't commit unaliving. We committed an act of revolutionary unaliving, protesting the conditions of an inhumane world. This is what Donald Trump is talking like. Take the potion, like they used to take back in ancient Greece, and step over quietly. It's not to be feared. It's a friend. Unaliving is a friend. Just take the potion. Take the medicine. Your 401ks, you don't need those anymore. Just cross over quietly, MAGA, into your dear leader's sacred hands. All right? Because guess what? He's going to take care of you better than Joe Biden and the Democrats. Hey, MAGA, I got to say this to you. I don't know what else to say, but if you can't connect these dots that you're in a cult right now, I don't know what else to say. And I know one thing, though. I'm going to continue to electrify you. I'm going to continue to put this fire on your backside, all right, all the way until you cross over, because unfortunately a hard head makes for a soft behind. So ladies and gentlemen, what I'm going to do is I'm going to warm up this lake of fire, if you don't mind. And what we'll do is we're going to send the Trump supporters that are still supporting Donald J. Trump where they belong. And they know where that is. In hell. Another thing that I want to get on the record, ladies and gentlemen, is you got to go back to watch some of Donald's campaign speeches. The Donald. Obama calls him the Donald. And I think that's a good name, right? And I was listening to one and I said, isn't it funny that everything Donald Trump was saying Kamala Harris and Joe Biden was doing, it actually is him. It's actually him. And so I had to think, this is next level diabolical what Donald Trump has done to his supporters. Everything he was going to do, which he knew if he told his supporters, yes, I'm going to be the one crashing the economy. I'm going to make you take the medicine. W. Zeus. It would have been a case closed. Nobody would have voted for it. So what he did was all the things that he was going to do, he just said Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are going to do it. It scared his supporters and they said, you know what, we're going to go ahead and vote for you, Donald. And so let's just listen to what Donald Trump was saying at the campaign rally in Madison Square Garden. You know that campaign rally when he got his supporters to dress up in garbage bags. You remember that? His supporters, they proudly put on trash bags and said, I am Trump's garbage. You can't make this stuff up, folks.
Most powerful military.
Hold on.
This election is a choice between whether we will have 4 more years of gross incompetence and failure,
Josh,
or whether we will begin the 4 greatest years in the history of our country.
you hear this, Josh? You fell for it, Josh. Remember this, Josh? You fell for it.
We will achieve success that no one can imagine. We will have the strongest economy, the most secure borders, the safest cities, the most powerful military, the best trade deals, and we will dominate the frontiers of science, medicine, business, technology, and space.
Is this true?
And I'm asking you to be excited about the future of our country again. I'm asking you to dream big again. We're going to dream big again. We haven't been dreaming big at all. This will be America's new golden age. It's going to happen quickly, too, very quickly.
So Josh, what I'm doing is just hitting play on Trump's campaign rally. No need to get worked up. It gets worse. Watch what he says. And then we're going to get to the judgment.
Thank you.
Now, this is the cult. They're cheering this on. They're cheering it on.
In less than 4 years, Kamala Harris has shattered our middle class. She cast the deciding votes that launched the worst inflation in the history of our country.
I want to buy your house.
Hold on. We got to pay the bills. Don't worry. He's talking about himself, ladies and gentlemen. Everything he says Kamala Harris is doing, it's really him.
Typical American family over 3.
Listen.
In less than 4 years, Kamala Harris has shattered our middle class. She cast the deciding votes that launched the worst inflation in the history of our country. She cost the typical American family over $3,000 in a short period, but over $30,000 over the last 3 years. She killed.
It's really him and his tariffs that are doing this, though. That's the amazing part. MAGA, don't you understand? He did an outstanding job manipulating you. Keep on going. Let's listen to what he was doing to your minds.
50,000 manufacturing jobs this year alone.
Miles, please.
Now Kamala wants to raise the typical family taxes by nearly $3,000 a year and impose a 33% tax hike on.
Who imposed the 33% tax hike? Some of them go up as high as 50%. Go look at his tariff chart, the one that he used, MAGA. Everything that he was telling you Kamala was going to do, and you all got scared and went and voted for him. Now you're finding out he was really the one that's going to do it. It's like being in a Scooby-Doo cartoon. You ever seen those Scooby-Doo cartoons? And they pull the mask off, and it was the police officer the entire time. W. Zeus in the chat. Oh, I should have known it was the cop the entire time. All right, every time Shaggy and Scooby and Thelma showed up, the cop was there. I should have known. MAGA, yeah, you're getting played like a fiddle.
All domestic production. If Kamala Harris gets 4 more years, our economy can never recover.
He's talking about himself.
If I win, we will quickly build the greatest economy in the history of the world.
Okay, so it's been 77 days. What's going on? He said he would quickly do this. He said he would quickly do it, MAGA. It's been 77 days. Guess what? He was lying.
Which is what we had in our last term. We will rapidly defeat inflation, and we will very simply make America affordable again. We're going to make it affordable.
So has Donald Trump defeated inflation? Has Donald Trump defeated inflation and made America affordable again? And let me make it real clear. I don't want to hear about his numbers that the wholesale price of eggs has gone down 50%, because none of us buy that. There's still stores that you can go to and they don't have any eggs, so that I don't buy that. My main question is, has the prices of your vehicles gone down to realistic levels, right? Has your rent, your mortgage, your interest rates, have those gone down? Has it truly been defeated? Look at the chat. Look at that chat. Look at the chat. W's in the chat for everyone that said no. Because this is what I'm doing. What I'm doing is injecting so much truth out there that a lot of the people listening that are having what Brother Swervin calls an allergic reaction. This is when I say you're lactose intolerant. If what I am saying makes you feel uncomfortable, that means you're lactose intolerant. You know what that means? You know how people are lactose intolerant? That means they're allergic to dairy. When you're lactose intolerant, you're allergic to the truth. All right? You're allergic to the truth, and so you're having an outer body experience listening to me replay how you fell for it. All right. But if you trust me, all right, and believe in Big Zeus, all right, I'll get you out of that cult. W Zeus in the chat. I don't have to do this. I could be doing so many other things with my time. I'm a very, very busy person. I could be, right? But it's because we all care about this great country of ours, and we don't want to surrender it to a bunch of incompetent people. All right. So we got to get out here and fight the power. Now let's listen to a couple of more lies he told you.
I will massively cut taxes for workers and small businesses, and we will have no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, and no tax on Social Security benefits for our seniors.
Because you're not going to have Social Security, duh. Easy.
And I'm announcing a new policy today that I will support a tax credit for family caregivers who take care of a parent or a loved one. It's about time that they were recognized, right?
Has anyone seen any of this?
They add so much to our country and are never spoken of, ever, but they're going to be spoken of now. Thank you all very much. I'll also make interest on car loans fully tax deductible, but only for cars made in America.
Has Donald Trump delivered on any of those promises, ladies and gentlemen? He said he can do this quickly. Has he delivered? Has he delivered? Anna? No. All right. But guess what he wants his supporters to do? He wants them to take that medicine. So what I'm going to do is, ladies and gentlemen, we got to do another round of booze and shame. I've never seen and I've never been embarrassed like I am to actually say these people live in the country that I live in. They get to breathe the same air that I breathe. It's disgusting. It's disgusting that I have to do this day in and day out in order to save this country. But you know what? If our ancestors had to fight to keep the country together, then you know what? I guess the battle must continue. Ladies and gentlemen, let's go ahead and warm up the lake of fire. All right, Rodney, please. For all of you Trump supporters that are still falling for Donald Trump and his lies, I have nothing else to say, honestly, other than, go to hell.
Silence, you MAGA demon!
And just a heads up, we're watching a showdown going on between the federal government and the Trump administration about Kilmar Garcia. You know who he is. He is the American, the citizen, or I don't know exactly, but you know who he is. They illegally deported this man, all right, because it was an administrative error. It was a clerical error. They had no evidence to prove that this man was a dangerous person, but the Trump administration did it, and the judge ordered them to do it. All right, so we're going to be watching to see if the U.S. Marshals end up getting involved, because if not, if he doesn't bring that man back, we are heading, as far as I'm concerned, towards a real, and this is serious, a real constitutional crisis. I don't believe there's a person in here that thinks that if you're a bad person in this country, especially, and you came in illegally, then you got to go. No one supports that. But what we don't what we do have an issue with is you just can't be going around here and just saying stuff like this.
Open borders.
You can't do this.
With people pouring in, some of whom, I won't get into it, but you can look at them and you can say, could be trouble. Could be trouble.
All right. We're not going to go for that. We're not going to sit back and allow you to just randomly grab people and think, oh, well, you know what, they could be trouble, so we're just going to deny them due process and send them on their way to one of the most dangerous prisons in the Western Hemisphere. Because guess what? We're actually loving and caring people. It's quite contrary to what MAGA likes to say about the Democrats. W Zeus, W Democrats. All right, now I'm looking at the time. This show only lasts around 2 hours, and then I got to get up out of here. And so what I'll do is I'll go to the box, and I'll try to talk to people. I try to run my lives like the town halls that you see happening. And the people that get in my box, I want you to understand these are authentic people. They're not getting paid by the DNC. These are real people in the United States of America that actually have woken up. Maybe, or they've been woke, all right, and they see what's going on, and they're going, I have a huge problem with it. And by the way, I want to give a huge shout out to all the Americans, the real patriots that protested at the hands-off protest. There was over 1,400 of them. It's a sign. It's a sign that, you know what? People all across this country, they're saying, this is not how I want to spend the next 4 years, all right? And actually, W to the Democrats, all right? Because we're closing the gap. Despite what the people are saying, they're saying the Democrats, their popularity and all, no one buys all of that poll stuff, all right? What people are understanding right now is if you leave this current administration, basically, if you let them do whatever they want to do, you're going to have more Signalgate, right? You're going to have more and more of these Signalgate moments, right? Where our men and women in uniform, their lives are being put at risk. And by the way, I also got to say this. Where are all the veterans that voted for Donald Trump at? Any veterans that voted for Donald Trump, please, I want to talk to you. I want to know how do you feel about Trump not going to receive those the soldiers that returned? You know where I'm talking about. He didn't do that. Instead, he went golfing. It's the saddest thing, and it's the most disgusting thing I've ever seen. Dubs with that. You want to come up here first? All right, you're a Trump supporter, Dubs. Come on up here. Let's talk real quick. I just need 2 minutes of your time, and then, you know what, we'll get straight to judgment, and we'll take care of business that way. So, Dubs, you don't want to come up. So what I do is this, Dubs. I tell my mods, if they don't come up after I ask them to come up, I'm going to assume you're a Russian bot. All right. And what I don't want is Russian bots in my comment section, polluting it with lies and misinformation. All right. Frank, you want to come up? Come on up here, Frank. Let's talk about what you said Biden did, or send me a guest request. Right. If you're a Trump supporter, send me a guest request or put a 1 in the chat. Oh, hey, Frank, how are you?
I'm good. So you're not going to talk about Biden checking his watch?
No.
That soldier passed away.
No.
You're not going to talk anything about how Biden disrespected Our military vets that passed.
No, I don't need to. I don't need to. We're in day 77 of the Trump administration. Am I
Yeah, yeah,
correct?
exactly. Day 77. Biden had 4 years to do stuff. He didn't do anything. What did Biden do? He said he was going to eliminate student debt. He couldn't even do that.
He did
But
it for some
Trump
people,
did
and then
it.
the Supreme Court
No,
said it was
no,
unconstitutional in some
no,
examples. But Frank,
buddy.
Frank, Frank,
Trump
Frank,
been in for 70 days. Give him a fucking
77.
chance. Give him a break, man.
How much?
He's gonna make America good.
How much time do we need to give this man who's currently single-handedly ruining multiple economies because he doesn't understand how tariffs work, Frank?
Okay. Tell me how Biden, when he first stepped into office, what did he do? All the bills he signed, he ruined America right away when he stepped in. After Trump.
Okay. Then how do we
He
have a
destroyed
country still?
America.
If Biden ruined America, how did Biden give Trump an economy that was the envy of the world? If America was ruined under Joe Biden, then we wouldn't be up here having an issue with Donald Trump, basically sticking a fork in the gears of our economy and basically making multiple markets crash at the same time. I mean, I'm not an economist, Frank. Frank, I'm not an economist. Are you?
I'm telling you right now, if you put your money
Are
in the
you an
stock
economist,
market,
Frank?
it's gonna be good.
Frank, are you an
No,
economist? Okay, so neither
no.
one of us are an economist, right? But you and I understand what paying more for groceries is, right?
Yeah, but we've been paying that for 4
We,
years. It's
no,
not a
no, no,
big
no, no, no,
difference
no,
right now.
no,
It's not
no,
a
no,
big
no. See,
difference.
actually, Frank, it is because if you campaign on saying that when you get into office, right, you're going to immediately end inflation, then it's actually a very big thing.
Bro,
If he
there's
didn't
so
say
much.
if he didn't mention ending inflation during his campaign, I wouldn't even be bringing this up. But you can't say I have a problem with inflation because of Biden, but I don't have a problem with inflation because of Trump. That's the disconnect. You okay, Frank?
Like Biden didn't fix the
Frank,
economy
Frank.
at all. All he said was greed. He said the CEOs, all these companies are greedy. And he did nothing. If that was the problem, why didn't he do anything? He didn't do shit. Trump's
Hey, we
finding
keep it.
all
You got to keep it
corrupt.
clean. You got to keep it clean on the show, buddy, because you know TikTok guidelines. You got my mom watching and stuff. I gotta run a clean operation. But you know what, Frank?
Just,
I think your
just like
signal, Frank, your signal, Frank, you gotta get somewhere where your signal is a lot stronger. All right, and then I'll finish the conversation. But Frank, here's something. I'm not gonna sit here and allow you to try to trick me into thinking that what I'm experiencing right now is because of President Biden or Vice President Kamala Harris. I firmly believe that if Joe Biden hadn't rescued us from the way that Donald Trump mismanaged this country after, C-19 and then the whole J6 thing, if Joe Biden and Kamala Harris didn't come into the White House, I honestly believe we wouldn't have had a country. All right. So the fact is, we had a country after Joe Biden's presidency, and we gave it over to Donald Trump. Donald Trump has now had 77 days to start making, delivering on these promises. And the problem, Frank, is this. No matter how many ways you try to slice this thing, it's all going to come back the same. No delivery on any campaign promises, bro. None. And on top of that, Frank, our 401ks, they're in the toilet. They're in the crapper, bro. Eggs through the roof, rent still through the roof. I don't know about you, Frank, but let's just say this. Say you owe money for your mortgage this month or your rent, and you don't have it, and you don't have money for your car note or whatever, Frank. I promise you, you cannot call these people up and say, just give Trump some more time, and then I'll get you your money. And then they're going to go, you're right, Frank. You're right. We got to give Trump a little more time. That's not how it works in the real world, Frank. You know what they're going to do? They're going to start the collections process. They're going to start the repo process, Frank. And this is what you're not understanding, Frank. This is why people are out in the streets, Frank, because that process has already started. There were people literally hanging on the edge when Biden left office. Then they were thinking Donald Trump is in and I'm finally going to get some relief. And now 77 days in, they see it's actually gotten a lot worse. And they're actually regretting voting for Trump, Frank. And so, ladies and gentlemen, what I'm going to do is put a little fire on Frank's backside. Frank, nice try. You tried to climb Mount Olympus this morning, and you climbed with a ladder of lies. And let this be a warning to all of you. If you try to climb Mount Olympus with a ladder of lies, hell will be your prize. Thank you.
Silence, you MAGA demon.
Do we have any more honest Trump supporters out there? I'm serious. I don't have a lot of time in the mornings to play around with MAGA. I am not going to accept excuses like Obama, Hillary Clinton. Don't take me back to, oh, well, this happened, while Bill Clinton. I don't want to hear it. None of that stuff will provide immediate relief right now. People got bills to pay. All right. End of discussion. Do you got the goods or not? If you don't got the goods, then you got to zip it. You gotta zip it. Nobody that's thinking and paying attention right now honestly believes what's happening now is because of Joe Biden. Not after you just had Elon and Donald Trump taking a chainsaw through our federal government. No one's buying this, MAGA. I see people are getting triggered by the way that I'm running my show.
If you're not happy here, then you can leave. As far as I'm concerned, if you hate our country, if you're not happy here, you can leave. If you're not happy in the U.S., if you're complaining all the time, very simply, you can leave. You can leave right now. Come back if you want. Don't come back. It's okay too. But if you're not happy, you can leave.
Put a 1 in the chat if you're a Trump supporter. All right, I'm going to try this once again. I need a Trump supporter to come clean this morning. I'm Zeus' biggest fear. You go back to Trump's first term. Why can't we go back to Biden's? All right. How about that? You come up here and I promise you, this better not be somebody I've already talked to playing games this morning, because it's not going to end well. Who is this?
Hey Zeus, how you doing?
Who is this?
It's Tiny Tank Top Tim.
Okay, Tiny Tank Top Tim. Okay. See, this is what I'm saying. Some people think this is a game. Tiny Tank Top Tim. Why not just call yourself Tiny Tank Top Tim? Because he's trying to ride Big Zeus's wave? Well, guess what? You try to ride someone else's wave, you're going to end up hurting yourself. And that's exactly what you did, Tiny Tank Top Tim, ladies and gentlemen. No explanation needed. You know exactly what to do.
Silence, you MAGA demon.
The reason that, these people, like I said, they'll create more accounts. I've been through so many back and forth battles with MAGA. They're going to keep creating accounts to try to come in here and get some of this kibble. All right. And I call it kibble because what you see that with the MAGA that are hanging out in this live is like we're breaking the spirit of a wild animal. They know they're really in a bad shape, so we leave the kibble out there for them, and they come late at night when no one's looking, and they come in and they try to sneak some of that kibble because they know where they're at is not really helping. Their lives are on the line where they're at in the wild. So Tiny Tank Top Tim Tom, eat your kibble, bro. Eat the kibble. But, you can do it back there. I'm looking for a real Trump supporter. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, okay. Here we go. Yeah. I've spoken to this gentleman several times. Good morning.
Good morning, Zeus.
We were talking last time and you had to run. All right. I hope you got a little bit more time to actually get through this with us.
I do.
All right. So where we're at right now is Donald Trump is instructing his supporters like you to take medicine. What exactly is that? What exactly is that medicine?
Oh, no. How is that? Like, what do you mean?
You didn't hear him yesterday?
No, I heard him, but it's just like the whole the bleach thing with C19. Right?
I don't know what he means, but to me, I don't know if you heard me. I read some of the stuff, that guy Jim Jones used to say to his people, he said things like that, encouraging them to peacefully go into the afterlife. And actually now I'm genuinely concerned that you all still think this is a game.
No, I don't think it's a game. I actually want to like talk about the topic you're talking about, and I don't want to go into antics, right?
Right.
Okay, so let's talk about the topic you're talking about. Do you know what group of people, what percentage of wealth owns over 93% of the stock market?
No.
So the top 10% of American wealth, the top 10%, with the top 1% superseding them, right, owns 93% of the world stock market.
The top 1%,
Top 10%.
the top 10% owns 93% of the stock market.
Correct.
All right, where are you going with this?
So your side is always about punishing the wealthy, right?
No.
Taxing the wealthy.
No.
Okay, so
I think you got to
where I'm
say it a
going
little
with
bit
this is
better.
like-
I think you got to say this. People should pay their fair share. I like that. I like how that sounds. I'm not
Okay,
into
so-
just randomly and punitively punishing people simply because they got more money. That doesn't make any sense.
So let me ask you something, Zeus. Why would the top 93% of the people, the ones that own the corporations, that own the business,
The
or
top
10%,
93? Oh, okay.
sorry, the top 10% that own 93% of the market. These are the people that own.
And then, by the way, I'm just going off of your numbers, right?
yeah, you can fact check me, AI, whatever.
People will fact check you. Trust me, because they hold
Yeah,
me
and
to a
when-
high
and when you
standard.
do- When you do, hit me with a follow back, Zeus. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because as you know before, like I don't try to come up here spitting nonsense and diverting and pivoting, right? So, why would the top 10% who control 93% of the market all of a sudden start, let's say, promoting a crash, hurting themselves, right?
Yeah.
Okay, now we're seeing this around the world, right? Singapore, Hong Kong, UK, everything like that, right? Now we're talking about globalists, right? So globalist wealth, right, is getting hurt by this, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so why do you think they're doing that, Zeus?
Why do I think they're getting hurt?
No. Why do you think they're promoting this? Because at the end of the day, if there wasn't major sell-offs by the top 10% that own 93% of the market, there will be no crashes. The market is...
I can give you an idea.
Okay.
The regime that's currently running the White House, they've made it real clear to the people that they perceive as, difficult. They're going to take very, very, as far as I'm concerned, punitive measures to get these people to basically bend the knee. So what we're seeing right now is a lot of people being they're being compromised. You get what I mean? Because at the end of the day, well, listen.
So no.
Listen, at the end of the day, no one in their right mind would actively say, "Go ahead and destroy my 401k. I trust in you."
So do you got a 401k or a pension?
Yeah, and so let me. Did you hear what I said?
I got both. Yeah.
Okay. So did you hear what I said? We have to get back to common sense. You wouldn't allow a random stranger to convince you to tank your stocks and your 401k and to trust in something that they themselves have no evidence of proving works. You would never do that.
No. So like,
am I right?
No. So you're wrong.
Am I? No. So you would trust a stranger?
So do you not trust who? Like say you're going through Edward Jones for your 401k, right? You're trusting a stranger to manage your portfolio, right? And invest in what they think is going to end up making you and them money.
Yeah, but
So
they have
you
have a record of doing this, right? So there's a history and there's things you can look at and say this is a reputable institution.
Yeah,
right? Right? You have to.
Yes,
you're
no.
not gonna go do business with a place that doesn't have a record of success and then trust them with everything like your life.
Well, some companies you don't get a choice with your 401k, right? They offer you the company and that's it. So what I'm going with this, right?
Your signal
is like you guys have claimed.
But wait.
forever.
No. Wait, did you hear what I said?
Yeah, I did.
Because I don't want you to just gloss over it. Okay.
Yeah, and I'm responding to that.
I'm going to say this I'm going to say this for myself because maybe this is how you get down. I have a very difficult time putting a lot of trust in any person or entity or organization that does not have a track record of success. I don't invest my money like that.
Okay.
You got to understand that about me. So the problem I have with what Trump is doing is, number one, the math that he is using to justify these rates isn't really based off the real tariff rate. It's based off of the trade deficit,
I mean,
right?
that's
So
partly
he
true,
lied.
partly
He
false.
lied about that to everybody.
No, it's partly true, partly false.
No.
That's why these countries are contacting us. Over like 20-something countries already contacted us within the last 3 days, already talking about like Taiwan getting rid of the tariffs against America completely.
But think about what you're suggesting. Think about what you're suggesting. Will we ever have a surplus in terms of the trade deficit with countries that
we could if we start manufacturing here? So let me
No.
ask you
Like for instance, with the coffee, we're going to always have to import coffee, bro. We're not ever going to we're not ever going to grow our own coffee. So there's always going so we're always going to have a deficit with that country even if they get rid of the tariffs. So this is where
about overall.
But I know, but one thing is very important because you know what they
It's
say.
circumstantial evidence at the
You
best.
know what they say about rat poison? It's 1% poison and 99.9% food. It doesn't take much to get you.
And that's where I'm trying to get. So, do you think it's good for the last 5 decades, 50 years that we were in a trade deficit?
In certain cases, it made sense.
But we're not. It's not
like I just gave you the example of the coffee.
It's $17 trillion, my
man. Listen. I just gave you the example of coffee. There are certain things America just has to import. We're never. And if you're talking about, for instance, Nike, and I read this, Nike said we'll never bring our manufacturing to the United States. If anything, we're going to go to China. So
go to China. Pay the tariff, right? We win either way. You go to China, you get your cheap labor because they're taking advantage of poor people that are disadvantaged, that don't have the labor laws that we do. So you guys are okay with inhumanely treating other people as long as they're part of other countries. I get it.
Moderate, you said pay the tariff.
Yeah.
Who's going to pay the tariff?
So they have an option. At the end of the day,
who's going to pay the tariff?
Nike will, right?
And then who they're going to pass it on to?
To the consumer, but only the wealthy consumer that can afford it.
So that's you and me.
I mean, not necessarily, right?
Yeah, no, it is.
No, I mean, but not necessarily. I'm not.
So
I'm not wealthy.
Then you won't be able to afford the Nike then.
I mean, to tell you the truth, dude, I can't afford a pair of Jordans right now, $500.
Oh, so you see what you just did? You basically said, well, I wasn't getting it anyway.
Circumstantial evidence, and you're choosing one thing or another. We're not talking about that. We're talking about a trade deficit that we've been in for the last 50 years. While trade deficit is not necessarily a bad thing all the time, like you're saying, Zeus, it doesn't make it acceptable across the board. The fact that we are trillions of dollars into debt because of trade deficits is not a good thing. It's literally stated in all economic books that you can read.
So what economists, since you're talking about it, do you know of any reputable economist that has basically said what Trump is doing is a good thing?
Absolutely.
Name one.
Like I would have to pull up my, I don't want to teacup you. I would have to pull it up. I'll tag you in I'll make a video about it. There was one that was literally just on the news, CNN, I believe, that was literally saying that what Donald Trump is doing is a good thing because while short-term trade deficits are good for specific goods might be good, right? But when we don't manufacture our own goods, right, to offset that deficit, it's a bad thing.
Okay, all right. Well, here's the thing. I'm just going to have to disagree with what you're saying, and this is why. I don't believe the manufacturing jobs that he might be supposedly trying to get to come back. I honestly don't believe all of them will come back. Number one. I also understand that the tariff at the end of the day is going to be an additional tax on the American people. So I understand Donald Trump has, through executive orders,
economically 1.5%.
He's raising
1.5%.
No.
Is what's going to trickle down to us.
No.
You guys don't believe in trickle down economics.
No. Okay. So this is why I'm saying it. So, and I understand Donald Trump is in effect placed the highest tax rate on the American people of any other president ever, even though he said Kamala Harris and Joe Biden would be doing this. I also understand that he knows that he's in a bit of a pickle, right? Because he can't back down now. Because if he does, he's going to look weak.
No, he doesn't need to back down. India's
Okay.
contacted us. The EU's already contacted
Okay.
us.
Let me ask you this question.
They're going to drop tariffs against
How long
cars.
will it take for your 401k to be restored?
I mean, dude, my 401k is probably set up different. Like, it depends on how you invest it, right? So Zeus, and I hope...
So I can't get a definitive answer.
So do you got a 90-10, 80-20, 70-30, 60-40, 50-50? Like, how is yours set up?
I asked you yours. And it's just...
Mine?
Yeah. How long will it take for you...
mine's set up right now at a 70-30, right?
Well, no. How long is it going... So you don't know.
I would explain to you, 70% risk, 30% stable funds, right? My 30% stable funds ain't really taking a hit. My 70% risk is kind of taking a hit right now, obviously.
Well, thank you for being honest about that. But
but that's what we should be doing as influence, Zeus.
No,
me and you should be doing that as influence.
No,
we and telling people misinformation or circumstantial evidence is not the way that we should be passing on information. We already have the government doing that against us.
I'm not fear mongering. I'm being accurate and I'm being descriptive. Now, I just wanted to double check with you one more time. How long is it going to take for your 401k to be restored?
I would say less than a year.
You believe less than a year?
I think way less than a year, because I think within the year, I'm not saying this month or next month, but definitely within the year, we're going to see such an economic boom in America. It's going to blow your mind. And when that does happen, Zeus, I pray that you're an honest man and you actually push that towards your followers.
I will. But you know what? Unfortunately, brother, I can't go along with you on that ride. That's going to be the one ride that you and I'm going to say, are you sure you want to do this? And you're going to say, yes, Zeus, I trust in Donald Trump. And I'm going to say to you, even though I
trust in the economics.
No. But okay, what other person on the earth has done what Donald Trump is doing?
I mean, a lot of countries have done it, right? That's why we got major tariffs against us. Absolutely.
No. What country?
Canada's doing it. Okay, Canada's doing it.
What has Canada done? You mean
Canada's raising their tariffs, right?
Well, that's in response to him doing what he's doing. I'm saying,
what
other leader woke up and said, "I'm going to take a percentage of the trade deficit that I have with any country on the
country was going to take an advantage like
Okay,
America
so the answer is no. Okay,
years.
Yeah. So this is a ride. Unfortunately, sir, you're going to have to take all by yourself. You ever seen that show Shark Tank?
Yeah, I hate Mark.
Yeah, you know what?
Cuban's a clown.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. Imagine we're in that show. And I'm sitting there thinking about investing with you. You know what I would say to you at this moment? I'm going to say,
who's the best investor?
I'm going to say, no. I'm going to say, I'm out. W Zeus in the chat. Unfortunately, moderate. I'm out.
Best investor in that show, and who does he support?
Listen, Kevin.
What economics does he's
You're talking about O'Leary?
Economics I'm talking about that's literally telling you this is going to work.
I'm out. Okay. Well, you listen, you got to sell it. I understand. You got to sell it.
Show. I'm just showing you.
Yeah. But listen, I'm out. I'm just letting you know, with all due respect, bro, I'm out. I cannot invest in a company or a business or a person that has no track record that demonstrate that the method they're using works. And you said you could go tag me in a video.
I mean, it does work. What you need to be concerned is what the Federal Reserve's actions are going to be.
No.
Yes, because in the 1930s,
no. Here we go.
Before the Great Depression, right? The only thing that caused a stagnation in the economy and caused more of an inflation amongst the people was that the fact that the Federal Reserve did not want to lower their rates, right?
Now we're in the 30s.
The cost of living to go up. Like, once again, it's not one piece or the other, Zeus, is what I'm trying to say.
But here's the thing.
Got to fit together.
Here's the thing. We're in 2025. One of the things that you're doing, and it's a sales tactic, I get it. They're going to try all these ways to get me to buy into it. But at the end of the day, I'm like, we're in 2025, bro. We have fusion core reactors going on. We have drones delivering our goods right now. We're in a completely different world than that. So bringing something, and this is probably the issue with MAGA. Y'all are so hell bent on going backwards for some strange reason. Why are we talking about
things work?
Okay, well, if you understood that history, you would understand that that's why we shouldn't do the tariffs.
Study cases from 1940s or 1950s, like about polio and stuff like that. If the study in the past does not help us progress in the future, then why study history at all? Why learn anything at all, right?
So they did this tariff thing before in the past, right?
Yeah, we have.
And what did that trigger?
Well, it did not trigger the Great Depression like
W Zeus in the chat.
No.
Listen, so you didn't learn from your past.
Federal taxes on American people, which was implemented in 1913. That was part of it. Prohibition was part of it, right? The fact that the Federal Reserve kept interest rates high was part of it, right? All these things called a stagnation and growth, right? Then we started outsourcing our manufacturing, correct?
And then you could get into world wars, and then you could get into our civil rights movement, and then you could get into all of this other stuff. I mean, you can throw as many factors into this cake.
No, I don't think the civil rights had anything to do with it.
My point is
made people money.
My point is, we can keep going back as far as you want. We can go back to when George Washington was in there giving his State of the Union speech talking about united hearts. You can do all of that if you want to, bro, but here's the real thing. That's not going to work when they come and ask you for the money this month.
Yeah, dude, the stock market is
that's not going to work.
A long-term investment. It's not hurting your paycheck.
It's not going to work. All right, now listen.
Eggs are low.
We've had a good conversation, and I think you got to get back to being a father. All right, but I got to get to judgment. All right.
Thank you, man. We'll talk again.
Yeah, we will talk again. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have officially arrived at judgment with this guest. All right, you know who he is. All right, the moderate Republican.
Make sure to hit me with a follow, chat.
Yeah. He wants you to go ahead and follow him. All right, and I'm going to go ahead and get started with the judgment. Moderate Republican. Here's the deal. No one's buying what you're selling, not even Donald Trump, bro. I think what you're doing is evidence that you're in pain because you know your 401k is losing the gain.
Silence, you MAGA Damon.
W Black Diamond in the chat. And what I was saying, and as you all could see, there's no economist that is actually supporting what Donald Trump is doing, and there's no one else on earth that is doing what Donald Trump is doing. So what we just saw, in my opinion, is an example of someone trying to cope with the reality that they have been duped. Trust me, moderate Republican, I've been where you're at. I've made excuses every time I've been played and I've been burned. I've made the best excuses. And that's why I'm good at what I do. I recognize that this is a very, very difficult exercise. Tertiva, W in the chat. But just take my words. Trust me on this. If he has no track record of success to draw from that proves this works, then 9 times out of 10, it's most likely not going to work. Actually, 10 times out of it's not going to work. And I would actually go as far as to say it's a scheme. It's a nasty scheme. And you're not going to win at all. You'll never win in a scheme like this. And when you said you believe in less than a year, your 401k would be restored whole, I just couldn't do it. All right. Let me bring up somebody else, ladies and gentlemen, that may be able to actually bring some sanity onto this show. Hi, Attacking. Welcome, brother. How are you doing? You heard what heard what we just went through.
Yeah.
How much of it are you buying?
I ain't buying any of it. And I haven't bought any of it for 10 plus years.
Thank you.
The thing is this. You and I shouldn't be here. We shouldn't have to be here.
Right.
And we're here for one reason and one reason only. Donald Trump. Donald Trump has a group of people that he lies to each and every day, and they believe everything he says. If Joe Biden would have went and played golf instead of receiving 4 unalived soldiers, Zeus, there would have been chaos. There would have been riots in the streets.
W Attacking, ladies and gentlemen. Show Attacking some love, please. He's telling the truth. He's sanitizing our brains. Please, Attacking, continue.
But Trump can go play golf, land the Marine One on the golf course, which he's not supposed to be basically publicizing his own golf resort as a sitting president, which he did. He encompassed the presidency and his ownership by landing that, and that goes against the Constitution of the United States, which is part of which is the Emoluments Clause. And again, you guys don't care about that. You say that Donald Trump goes to golf and he's a president 24/7, but if Joe Biden was to go to his home in Delaware, you guys say he's lazy and he's ripping the people off.
Yeah.
You have them cutting jobs left, right, and center, hurting the American people, hurting our government, hurting our security. The stock market's tanking again.
Wow, really?
Yeah. And you guys say the one day that when Joe Biden lost $1,000 in like September, October before the election, the economy's going to collapse. And what does Donald Trump say? You got to put the right person in the government or you're going to have an economic collapse. Wait to see, you got to put me in. And we did.
Yeah.
6,000 points. When Donald Trump took office, it was at 44,000 and dropped it down to 38,000. That's a loss within 75 days of 6,000 points.
Wow.
No matter how you look at it.
Right.
You have people saying you got a 60% chance of a recession.
Wow.
You have them going after people's Social Security. Again, 47 Social Security Department administration offices across the United States are being closed.
You're saying it's at 37,000 now, attacking? Wow.
Really? Yeah, it got down to 37,000 earlier. I was looking at that. Probably, yeah, it was.
Wow,
and the thing is this.
Marsha, are you okay with this, Marsha? Because you come to the show every morning, Marsha. Are you really?
Marsha.
Are you really okay with this?
You know, the thing is this, man. The hypocrisy. You guys are complaining about eggs, and now,
where did you go, attacking? You get a call?
Of course not. I was pulling up.
Oh, well, we can't hear you. Yeah, he said you guys.
Yeah. Yeah. When you go to pick a picture, you can't hear me. So the thing is this. You guys were complaining about eggs, cost of eggs. Now you don't care. You don't. You think just because there was 228,000 jobs added. Okay, all right, good. That's a good thing. But Biden beat those at 200,000 and 300,000 jobs for a month being added. You know, you guys, the hypocrisy just slaps you in the face. You guys lie about Donald Trump each and every day. You cover for him no matter what it is. You veterans, again, you support Trump, he just urinated on these four men this weekend. He doesn't care, but you pretend that Joe Biden looking at a watch is offensive? Donald Trump could have taken Air Force 2 or Marine 1 and flown to Dover to go receive them and then gone back and played golf. He could have done both, but he didn't.
Wow.
And he's not helping you, the American people. He's literally firing supporters within the government that supported and voted for him.
Wow.
What's wrong with you guys? This isn't going to be good. And you got people saying, "Oh, big deal. My avocado's going to raise a penny." You have automotive manufacturers cutting production line. Costs are going to go up. You have a $10,000 car, it's not going to cost 12.5, 12 and a half. Okay? These tariffs are going to affect the American people. No matter how you look at it, no matter how you spin it. And by the way, Zeus, I got a question for you.
Please ask, because somebody needs to help.
Why would Donald Trump tariff a island volcano that has no life force on there, no buildings, no manufacturing, just penguins?
I have no clue. I've heard about this, and I think it involved Chat GPT. Am I not mistaken? Did he use AI to come up with this
I have
formula?
no idea, but
Oh,
I did Google Map, and I went around the entire coastline of the island, of Heard Island.
mm,
There's no roads, no cars, no buildings, no docks for boats, no
yeah,
nothing.
yeah.
No nothing. And the thing is this, people are saying, well, he did it for the fishery. All you have to do is tariff Australia because they're the fishery. They're the ones exporting the seafood, the seafood products. It's not the island volcano covered with snow and ice.
Wow.
What is wrong with you guys? I'm going to leave it there so you can bring somebody else up who's a lot smarter.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Let's go ahead and W's in the chat for attacking. No lies detected. Good, pure truth. That's what Americans want. We want answers. And we're not going to continue to let you spin us around like it's pin the tail on the donkey, all right? And then say, oh, well, nope, you're wrong. No. People want to know, how are they going to pay their bills this month? They're already behind. No one has time to wait almost a year for the stock market to go all the way down. We're at 37,000. Did I hear you right, Shay? It's at 37,000. It could possibly go to 30,000. Who knows at this rate? And then you think all of a sudden that money's just going to flush in there. This is going to take years and in some cases decades, maybe even centuries to fix. And he's going to be long gone and you're going to be burned. So I know this is getting harder and harder for a lot of the Trump supporters to actually understand and process, because there's so much truth coming out of this live. So I must once again give you another FYI friendly reminder. All right, if you're getting triggered because of the truth that I'm telling on the show, or some of my friends come up and tell, do us all a huge favor and just leave, because it's going to get uncomfortable. All right.
If you're not happy here, then you can leave. As far as I'm concerned, if you hate our country, if you're not happy here, you can leave. If you're not happy in the U.S., if you're complaining all the time, very simply, you can leave. You can leave right now. Come back if you want. Don't come back. It's okay too. But if you're not happy, you can leave.
Now, just to show you that I'm I'm the fairest host on TikTok, I will once again reach out to the audience and look for a Trump supporter that is willing to come up here and try to defend this guy. All right. And all we ask is that you keep it clean. All right. And just stay in 2025. All right. Because the moment you start backpedaling back to Joe Biden and Kamala Harris territory, it's not going to win, because I've looked at all the information. All right. And there's nothing they have done that is even close to what's currently happening. They inherited a mess. You know that. So we can't go in and start bringing up graphs and stuff like that. The real thing is, when is the relief going to come for everyday Americans? Put a 1 in the chat if you're a Trump supporter. And I'll bring you right on up here. And we will have that conversation. Or you can send me a guest request. Trump is draining this country. This is what people are saying, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, I totally agree. He's draining this country. Let's see. Put a 1 in the chat if you're a Trump supporter, and I'll bring you right on up here, and we will have this conversation. All right. Oh, Frank. Did we just talk, Frank? I think we just did. Yeah, you're back.
Yeah, I'm back.
Your connection. What are you doing?
You didn't even let me. My connection's fine, man. I don't know what you're talking about.
All right. Well, I've already cast judgment on you. Did you heard what I said to the previous guy? See, I hear the signal, bro. I still hear. Yeah, it's still disconnected. But Frank, you got to park it, brother, and then I can bring you up here. All right. Put a 1 in the chat if you are a Trump supporter, and I will bring you up here. All right. I really got to make sure your connection and the background noise, it has to be pure. All right. Why you guys got? There you go, Vargas. Vargas, I can't bring you up. All right, and Trump is not the GOAT. All right. All right. But if you wanted to come up here, Vargas, send me a guest request and I could bring you up here. I think I've spoken with you before. And ladies and gentlemen, make no mistake. One of the things that I'm doing right now is I'm monitoring, especially the Latinos for Donald Trump, right? I'm monitoring them because I know there's going to be a run in with the law one of these days. And, they're going to end up needing a lot of help. And so what we want to make sure is we keep our eyes and ears on them so that when they end up, possibly ending up, being detained or something like that, we can have the other MAGAs on the app, rally and support them and get them out of that jam that they'll find themselves in. Frank or Frederick, I sent you an invite, Frederick. Accept the guest request. All right. And I'll bring you right on up here, Frederick. But if not, then you know what I mean. You gotta stay in the comment section, all right? And then I'll have one of my moderators put you in a straitjacket. Oh, Frederick, you made it.
Yes,
So you voted for Donald Trump?
I did.
What part of the country are you in, brother?
I live in Little Rock, Arkansas.
All right, all right. Are you coming up here to kind of say, you're starting to see you made a mistake, and that you now understand that the Democrats, while they might not have been delivering on the things you would have liked them to deliver, they weren't doing anything like this? Is that kind of where you want to start?
No. I'm perfectly fine where I'm at. I kind of think that you got to have some pain when you grow. It's growing pains of what we're finna go through.
Right. But don't you think that should be a decision you make for yourself, right? Like, say, for instance, if I wanted to become the best basketball player on the earth, right? I would have to make that decision for myself to be the greatest. You know what I mean? And it's one thing when I make that choice, but it's another thing when you start telling me what I got to do to be great.
I understand where you're coming from, but you got to understand where I'm coming from. When the choices that someone else is making is also the choices that I would make, I have no backlash. Now, if he was up there making decisions that I disagree with, then yeah, we can talk in that state of form then.
Okay, so you agree with paying more at the grocery store?
I agree with paying more for the
you can just say run. You get for what?
I would rather pay $300 more for my iPhone if it's gonna create 300,000 jobs here in the U.S.
But what if it doesn't end up doing that, and you end up still paying 300 more? Would you have a problem?
Yeah, that's a failure there.
Yeah, so that's what I wanted to say to you, brother. That's pretty much what's about to happen. And as a matter of fact, I think I saw the number. You're going to be paying thousands more, and there won't be any jobs because the tariff. The tariff, it starts with the T, the letter T. You might as well just say the tax. Who pays that tax? Who's going to pay?
Would you agree that, hey, since we having a tariff problem, why don't all countries just drop tariffs?
Even if they did, I thought about that, brother, and I said, for instance, a country that sells us coffee, we're always going to have a trade deficit with that country over the coffee, right? Because we'll never be a country that grows and sells coffee like that, just because of where we're located on the earth. You know what I mean? So it's always going to look negative. So there's going to be good situations where having a trade deficit is okay, right? Especially if you're talking about, hey, we need coffee in this country. So yeah, we'll take the hit. And if that means, we have to pay some money for the coffee, which we've been doing, fine. But now the coffee prices, it's going through the roof. It's gone up $20 or so more per pound. That was totally unnecessary, and it'll never really be zero. And you know what Trump is doing? He's actually going around telling people that the patient is sick and he's giving them medicine. You heard him talk like that?
Yeah,
Come on now. You know, I could tell right now, you live life, brother. You know when people start talking like that, they trying to do something. Would you let a perfect stranger convince you to take medicine and told you it's just going to cause you just a little bit of pain? Would you let someone do that to you?
no, I still haven't took the COVID shot.
Well, I didn't ask you about that. I'm just saying in general.
Well, I'm just saying, right? I understand what you're saying.
So the jig is up with Donald Trump. Wouldn't you say? Like, this man, how you going, like, would you ever let a perfect stranger convince you to give them, I don't know how much you got saved up, but let's just say you got $10,000 stacked in the bank account for worth, and it's all cash, right? These are dead presidents lined up. I'm talking about blue bands busting out of the wrapper. Would you ever let a stranger come up to you and tell you, "Hey, won't you let me hold about 7,000 of those dollars?" All right, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to, bend a couple of corners, and then I'm going to come back with $50,000. Would you give him the $7,000?
Absolutely not.
Why? Don't you want some of the $50,000?
No, not at that risk. I don't.
That's what I'm trying to help people understand. Donald Trump is that person asking for the $50,000. He has no evidence to prove what he's doing is working. If you really sat down and think about it, he has no proof that this works. If it worked and everybody was in on it, the markets would show that. They would say, "Oh my God, the stock market is jumping out of the frying pan. It's doing such a great job." But the fact that you have so many people worried and scared and everyone is losing money, how are you going to convince me that I got to lose money in order to get money? That's where we're at. I mean, you know what I'll give you.
So you are against the tariffs because what is costing the American people. That's why you're against it, right?
Yes, I don't think that everybody's taxes should go up just to prove what? What is this going to prove? He's trying to bring jobs back. And I'm like, well, those jobs that left the United States, they left for a reason. Obviously, right? They had to.
And the reason they left was because of what?
The business side of it, it made more sense to go out of the country, all right, and do whatever it is that they needed to do in order to make more money in the United States. You know what I mean? I'm not going to hire Fred, like, for instance, how much do you think you would charge per hour to, maybe work in a shoe factory? Would you do it for like minimum wage?
No. And I know what they're making over there is not even minimum wage. So
and we could get into the politics.
People,
so
do you agree? Do you agree with people working for 16 and 17 cents an hour?
I don't.
That's what you do when you agree to not have tariffs.
No. That's a completely different.
Because tariffs is going to bring all those jobs back over here where people get paid a decent salary and stood over there in the sweatshop making 17 cents an hour.
Okay, so let's use your logic, right? Let's say I take someone that you said was making 16 cents an hour, right? And I now start to pay that person $80 an hour, right? You feel better now. Finally, we're paying people respectable wages. You feel like that's a good thing, right?
Yeah, but if they was making $80 an hour, they would be over here making it. They wouldn't be there making it.
And then how much would the Nikes cost you? Because you're the businessman. You're the one counting the money in the back. And you're going, okay, well, my cost of doing business just went up. I'm not in business to take a hit. I got to pass this cost on to the people that actually, give me my money. So you're going to go to your customers that have been paying, maybe they've been paying $100 or so for some tennis shoes. Now you're going to go, well, listen, I brought business back to the United States. I'm paying everybody their fair share of wages. And now these Nikes, I'm charging you $900 large. How many customers do you think you would have after doing that?
Well, if you are paying $900 for some sneakers, the economy has got to be booming.
How many customers do you think you would get if you're charging $900 for some sneakers? Good morning, Val. How are you doing, brother?
In today's economy, not many.
Exactly. Now, what I've done is this, Fred, because you seem like you're honestly here to learn. I've actually reached out to a good friend of mine, Val. Welcome, Val.
How's it going?
It's good. You're listening to our good friend, Fred. What are your thoughts about what he's saying?
Well, Fred has a misunderstanding on how tariffs work.
Okay, let's go ahead and get into that.
It's a pretty common one. Fred, if they build something over in China and they send it over here and we put a tariff on it, it doesn't affect China. It doesn't affect them in any way. It affects our importers, our businesses, our customers. That's what it actually affects. It does nothing to China. China still sold the product. They sold it for the money they wanted it to. They didn't change a thing about it. And it goes to our importers, our customers, our thing. This is where the problem is with this understanding.
It doesn't affect them, so why are they hitting us back with tariffs every time we
hit us back with tariffs, sir? Because it's what's called a trade war. Let me explain something. This was explained by Ronald Reagan to everybody to listen to if they want to. Let me tell you what tariffs really do and what they really are.
Thank you.
Tariffs are a way to protect business that's already in your country, and that's why we call them targeted tariffs. Blanketed tariffs are a much different thing. When you do blanketed tariffs, sir, you affect everybody in the country. And I don't like them, and Democrats are against them for this reason. It is really taxation on our corporations, our businesses, our importers, and our people without representation. That is really what it is. It is also a drawback. What Ronald Reagan tried to explain to everybody to understand, and this is what happened the last time we did tariffs, if you try to protect American business so much that it can't compete globally because they only make a product that Americans will accept, but the global market may not accept, they don't grow. We actually sit in stagnation. That is the reality of tariffs, or of this type. Now, I understand a targeted tariff on a car company in China that we don't want to come to the U.S. for, several different reasons. Quality reasons, you know what I'm saying? Those types of things. You all like to yell about Canada's tariffs. Well, we put Canada because they put tariffs on our milk. Sir, they put tariffs on our milk because they don't want milk with antibiotics. That's their right.
You following what's going on, Frederick?
Yeah, I'm following.
Those are what tariffs should be used for, sir, not to affect the American people. Now, when I explain this to somebody, I want you to understand something. Sir, have you bought a TV in the last couple of years?
Yep.
How much was that TV?
$900, I think.
So you bought a nicer TV.
Yeah. That's a nice TV for $900.
Yeah.
Okay. So, sir, how much would that TV cost you if we had to make it here?
Oh. I don't know, 1,600 maybe.
Try again.
More than that.
Almost 10K.
10K?
Mm-hmm.
Because of what?
How much of a difference is. That's how much the difference is with our employee market, everything that has to be done in our employee market for the American person to actually make a living, what it would take to build up for that, what it would take to build the parts here, all that's labor. Okay, and it's labor and parts, and parts is where it gets really interesting, sir, because we don't have all the materials to make all those parts on this
Right.
land.
So all the parts are going to get hit with a tariff that come in to make the TV as well.
Literally 10 times what we pay now. These are the issues. There's a balance. People need to understand. They like to think, well, America first, America first, America first. But they don't think about the cost of America first. They don't think about what we lose as a country as America first. Sir, you realize we have been a global market for over 100 years. Every time somebody tries to sell you this bill of goods of America first, we've been a global market for over 100 years. And we should be. We should be the leaders in most of this market. We're not. Because of programs and people being sold bill of goods like this man is selling you in the office right now.
That's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad that you are trying your best, honestly, to hear us out and understand why the temperature in the country is the way that it is. I mean, as much as I don't like Donald Trump, if he was doing things, honestly, that I would think benefited the American people, I would be able to go, you know what? A win is a win. But where we're at right now, it doesn't make any sense to anybody, especially if you work with these businesses that are, impacted, or you got money in your 401k, or why are we doing this? What is the end game?
I think the end game is to bring the jobs back to America. And I thought that was if you put higher tariffs on things and make things more expensive coming into the country, then it will make it cheaper to build it in the country.
Think about what you just said. You just threw it out there. You said make it more expensive and make it cheaper. Does that really make sense?
Now, make it more expensive and cheaper. I'm not following you there. Is that what I said?
Yeah, that's what you said.
No, I said that the tariffs, what I understood the tariffs would do would make things more expensive overseas to where they would be better made in our country.
Oh, better made.
Which also brings jobs to the country.
Okay, so you said better made now instead of it being cheaper. Got it.
Well, we can get into better made. We can get into better made later, but first off, sir, let's break down what you just said, sir. What's 25% of that $900? Let's say $1,000 TV that you buy.
$250.
Okay, so that TV would now cost you $1,250, right?
Right.
Okay. Do you think people are still going to buy the $1,250 TV over the $10,000 one?
Oh, if you got a $1,000 TV there and a $1,200.
Listen to what I said. Your TV would now cost $1,250 with the tariff, right?
Right.
Do you think anybody's going to buy the $10,000 one made in the U.S.? Or are they still going to buy the $1,250 one?
The $1,250, of course.
Okay, now what just happened to you in reality?
This is deep work. You see what he just did to you?
Yeah.
You got kind of it's like being cooked in a way, ain't it?
Yeah, he kind of
Trump
tricked me there. He crossed me up.
Yeah, I appreciate your honesty. All right, I really do. All right, because it starts somewhere.
I mean, sir, I mean, you can say tricked or whatever. It's actually reality. It's going to be the same way with those Nike shoes. It's going to be the same way with the Nike shirts. It's going to be the same way with the Adidas shirts. It's going to be the same way with anything that we actually buy. They can still, even with the tariffs, make it for less than we do.
So
American public is still going to purchase it.
You know, sir, there's an old saying, if it sounds too good to be true, then it probably is. Wouldn't you say that that's kind of an example of what's been happening with the way Trump has been saying stuff? Isn't it? Do you find it interesting that everything he says, it pretty much sounds like, yeah, that's what I want?
And now I want to break down the last part of this. Sir, are you really happy with paying that other $250 in tax?
am I happy paying the $250 tax?
Because that's what that TV cost you more, right?
Answer is
I wouldn't want to pay an extra $250. No, nobody would want to do
Thank
that.
you.
But do you understand that that was tax?
And that purpose of that tax is because
It's starting to catch up with you now, isn't it?
yeah.
Really, what this is, sir, is a way to drain more money from the American people. Tell them that we're not giving them tell them that we're keeping their taxes are the same or raising them just a little bit, but we're actually making them pay more taxes. Do you understand why I said all this is taxation without representation?
Yeah, I see that.
If there was another way that this would make sense, I would be more than happy, honestly, brother, to explore it with you. But you see how it's all adding up at the end of the day. At the end of the day, you're spending more money. You can, and that's a hard thing to process, right? It's like you got to gas yourself up and believe it's going to work because you're at that point where you have no other choice.
Yeah.
So that's why I brought up that point about if it sounds too good to be true, then it probably is. Because my concern is that, listen, going forward, I hope you don't make this kind of mistake again, right, with your vote. I mean, I totally understand the idea that the Democrat Party has underperformed and let a lot of people down. But I also believe that this previous election, a lot of people took for granted a lot of the progress we've made as a nation, and the Democrats have been very helpful in that progress, and they didn't understand that it was easy to wipe away all the progress. And unfortunately, the biting the bullet would have been to keep the Democrats in office and to continue to pressure them to get the changes you wanted. Because now where we're headed, we're going to go backwards, and we don't know how far back this thing is going to go before we can then get back to at least where we were a few days ago, 77 days ago. How much damage do you think is going to be done by the time this administration is over?
Well, until earlier, I didn't think any damage was being done until, I talked to you guys. I thought we were on the right path.
Sir, we just lost, so 65% of Americans are on a 401k. The average American on a median income with a 401k that they've had over 4 years or over 5 years, because that's when most people come vested in their 401ks. The average American has lost a little over $35,000 in 6 days.
Yeah, that's trouble in there. Yeah, that's real troubling because I was depending on that 401.
Oh, you were depending on the 401k. All right. Well, you
yeah.
All right. Well, what we're doing now is we're hopefully helping you to become more of an agent of light and not an agent of chaos. because we're arming you with a lot of information. We're giving you a lot of feedback in real time. So what I've done is I've invited a few more other guests up here. They can probably help put a little more meat on the bones. Good morning, Shay. Good morning, Nutty, and good morning, Dr. Lex. We're having a very interesting. We're having a very interesting conversation with my new friend Fred. What are your thoughts? And I'll start with you, Shay, ladies first, if you don't mind.
Uh, yeah, I think here's what I've been thinking about. You know, when Trump was in office his first term, he was the world leaders. The world didn't know him, including Americans, right? He was unpredictable, right? And even to the Trumpers, they often brag about the fact that the world was scared of him because they never knew what he was going to do, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think to that part, he could play these tactics, right? He could scare them and use it as a bargaining tool to get them to the table, right? And I'm going to tell you this right now, that is not the case anymore. See, the world leaders know who Trump is and know that he's nothing but a narcissist and a bully. And that he's weak, extremely weak when it comes to knowing economy, world politics, the military, how anything works. He doesn't even know geography, right? Doesn't even know how to read or write or spell. Like, it's ridiculous, right?
Yeah.
So they have figured out who this man is. So let's be real clear. If you think that he's not going to pull off on these tariffs, you're not thinking very well. Because they're not going to come to the table, because what they're watching is all the protests that are going on. They're watching his approval rating fall. They're watching the reaction around the world. They're watching even Trumpers saying, I voted for you, and this is BS, right?
Yeah.
They're seeing all this. They realize that if they allow even for their own economy to tank for a short period of time, that will get him to drop the tariffs. He will be the first on his knees. That's what I'm seeing. They're already playing around with a 90-day pause, right?
Yeah.
A 90-day pause on the tariffs except for China. Now,
Wow.
currently the White House is saying that's BS, but that's what they're starting to see. So that's my understanding, Frederick, that this guy is no longer has the power that he did.
Uncle Rocket.
Or the unpredictability, or the scare tactics, or any bragging rights that he had back in his first term. That's what you guys are missing. That the world has changed since COVID as well, right? Things aren't functioning the same. So that's what I'm seeing, that he's going to back off these tariffs as the markets keep crashing.
Thank you.
Because he's so narcissistic, he can't take the blame for this.
Thank you.
That's my intake. Yeah.
Thank you. W. Shay in the chat. You still there, Frederick?
I am.
Yeah, Shay's very knowledgeable, and she's giving you some real feedback to consider. I'm going to move it along to Nutty, and then Dr. Lex, and then you know what? I'll open it up so that we can finalize the discussion. Nutty, welcome to the show. I got my new friend, brother Fred, down there, and what we're trying to do, well, it seems like it is we're actually getting a breakthrough. He's listening, and he's starting to come around to what's going on. Any feedback you want to share with us?
So mine is going to be a little bit different because I think Val has done a phenomenal job explaining to Frederick and getting him to understand. Val is he is absolutely more educated on this economy stuff than I am.
Okay.
But I do want to point out one thing. Frederick, you actually admitted to getting cooked. And it's interesting that we're using the term cooked, because I want to tell you about Representative Don Bacon. You like how I did that, cooked bacon? So Representative Don Bacon out of Nebraska, he's a Republican. He's introducing a bill today in the House of Representatives to take Congress's power back. Notice when I say take Congress's power back. So what I mean by that, according to the Constitution, it is the Congress that has the authority over tariffs and trade policies and things of that nature. Why they have given this power to the executive, we all know why. However, Republicans are actually getting afraid, starting to be afraid, because it is not only tanking, their 4 well, some of their 401ks, but it's hurting their constituents. And now with the midterm elections coming up next year, they're worried about losing their job, Frederick. So when you have Republicans saying, "Hey, we need to pull this back. We need to pull this back and we need to, get our power back." That should make you think, is this really good for the citizens of the United States of America? You see where I'm going, Fred?
I do. I do.
So when you have the power, which are the Republicans, when they're starting to glitching and twitching, over the things that their guy is doing, that should tell every single one of us voters out there, hey, we got to look into that, because we typically know that the party in power, they're going to support their person. He doesn't have the support, Fred. He doesn't have the support. And one more thing before I pass it on to Dr. Lex. Zeus, I figured it out.
What's that?
I figured out why Donald Trump put a tariff on the McDonald Island.
Oh.
I figured it out. Are you ready for this?
What is that?
He put the tariff on McDonald Island because he thought that the restaurant chain McDonald's owned that island. He thought that was the island of McDonald's.
Lord have mercy.
And we knew Ronald McDonald is the most famous clown there is.
Wow.
And he was like, you know what?
Wow.
I haven't been putting on this orange face for no reason. I'm the biggest clown.
Oh.
So therefore, I'm putting a tariff on the McDonald Island.
W Nutty in the chat. That's a good one.
That's why there's a tariff on McDonald Island that's only inhabited by penguins.
Lord have mercy.
Nutty, I have to disagree with you. He's jealous because those birds were walking around in tuxedos all of the time.
No,
is that what it is?
W, Dr. Lex.
So it was.
See, we can have a little humor.
It was the tuxedos and being a clown. So that's what you're saying, Lex?
It's those tuxedos has got them. Birds were walking. You know something.
I will yield. I will yield the floor. Thanks, Zeus.
You're welcome. Yeah. This is what we need to do. We got to save this country, and we got to tell people the truth when they're craving it. Dr. Lex, thoughts?
Here's my thoughts on this situation. I watched it drop 1,300 points, the Dow, in 3 minutes this morning. Okay, so what we're going to see is if it drops down to a certain point, then the Hunger Games will start. The reactions are going to be incendiary. The behavior is going to go off the rip because people will have lost everything.
Yeah.
And we're getting close to that level. What would you say it is, Val? Another 5,000, 10,000 before the freakout starts?
Another 3,000 to 4,000 will get us there.
3,000 to 4,000. Okay, so 3,000 to 4,000, and then you get the propeller action from the hippopotamus when it takes a poop.
Yeah, I mean,
so
the one thing we haven't talked about here is consumer confidence. And
it's gone.
It's gone, and that's a problem. I mean, you can have ups and downs with the stock market, and you know what I'm saying, and recover. This is the word they like, right?
Welcome to Louisiana.
What is that?
My big question is, Val, for Frederick, are tariffs the only reason that you voted for him?
No, tariffs is not the only reason. I know Trump, you pretty much get what you see. Everything that he said from his campaign, he's doing that, and it may not be working out as well as it was planned, but he was voted in on those accounts, and he's making those accounts happen, and people are not happy with it.
Can I ask you something, Frederick? Are you a black man?
I am.
Okay, so are you familiar with him removing all of the black soldiers from the archives at Arlington National Cemetery?
I am.
Are you?
I'm aware of him moving Black Lives Matter Plaza, and I'm
Oh,
in
okay. So
agreement with that as well.
you agreed with him removing the black soldiers from the Arlington National Cemetery archives, the heroes, right?
No, I don't agree with that.
Okay.
I see Black Lives
Wait? So
Matter.
do you agree with him trying to close down and sell the Freedom Riders Museum in Alabama?
I do not.
Okay. Do you agree with him introducing segregation back in the federal government in 2025?
I do not. You can go down a whole lot of lists of things that I don't agree with him with. I mean, it's a lot of things that I don't agree with him with, and there's a lot of things that I thought about him that I don't think about him now that he's in office. But
Well,
that's
you know
water
something.
under the bridge.
Given the fact that we were brought over here from 1619 on, and held in captivity for 400 and 19 years, 20 years, and then turned out and used as breeding stock, and lost contact with our cultures and where we come from. When he plans on deporting us, where do you think he will go?
Deporting us?
Yeah, I mean he's
We
segregating.
don't have anywhere. We can't be deported because no one knows where we came from.
Exactly, and there's a reason behind that. Why would you be in support of someone who is an absolute racist, who is in support of white supremacy in the fashion that he's in, and is trying to treat us and marginalize us back into the point where we're back in Jim Crow or before? I mean, I've got questions. I mean, I find myself to be a proud black man. I'm proud of my family, my heritage, and the survival that we endured. But what I can't quantify in my brain is the fact that a black man will come on here in support of somebody who is obviously racist and has been proven to be so.
You know what I was doing when I voted for Trump? I was voting for the less of the two evils.
Okay, so now we're getting to it, Zeus. Okay, so how is Vice President Harris more evil than Donald Jimothy Trump?
See, Frederick, you had me until that statement. I was giving you the benefit of the doubt. Lex, why did you have to go and expose my brother like that?
No, because you know something. If you walk into a fart in Walmart, you tend to want to find out who did it.
Yeah.
So, Frederick, why is Vice President Harris more evil than Donald Trump?
And I've never heard this angle, Frederick. So please, if you don't mind, I'm curious.
Donald Trump, I don't know. My bottom line was better with Donald Trump the last 4 years he was in there, as far as my.
Do you think a woman couldn't do the job? Is that what it is?
Say that again.
Do you think a woman couldn't do the job? Is that what it is? Are you misogynist?
No.
You don't have a problem with women being in power, black women?
I'm a feminist.
No, you're not, Frederick. I looked at your profile, and I wasn't going to bring it up. So, Lex, you must have looked at his profile because he has a video.
I did not.
Oh, you haven't? He has a video on his profile that's asking about. There's a woman interviewing a man, right? And she asked him, "What is the definition of a girlfriend?" And the video went on to say that because the man is saying, "Oh, if you have a girlfriend, you're going to be broke. If you have a girlfriend, you're going to get into more fights." He's very misogynistic. I looked at his profile. Go check out his profile and tell me if I'm lying. So you're not a don't say you're a feminist, Frederick, when you have that video posted on your profile right now, or in a language where you can understand right now.
You know something, and you can. This is going to be a minor curse word, Zeus, but you can go ahead and flush the toilet after I say it's a tiny one.
Well,
it's a little one.
Well,
I can change it. Actually, I'll change it.
But I still think there's something that we can do with Frederick, even though he came up here under false. I'm trying to get this brother out of this fog as best as I can, and I believe deep down inside, and Dr. Lex, I think you're on to something. Why he voted for Kamala Harris? So, Fred, brother,
Or he didn't. Yeah.
if you don't mind, I think what you are dealing with is the fact that there's this thing out here where a lot of us believe, a lot of brothers did not support Kamala Harris because she's a woman and a woman of color. That's just I got to put that out there.
Point, because I voted for Hillary.
Okay, so
Okay.
let me say this, Zeus. My grandmother used to say it looked like raisins until you saw the rabbits pooping.
Mm.
So
So
you know
it
what?
seems to me that
Don't do
that
that to
I'm
my
get,
bread, my head, Dr. Lex. Please don't do that to my head.
let me say this, and I don't want it to come off wrong, but it seems that you think that I should have voted for her because she's black and I'm black.
No.
No, but it's also a decent reason.
And
I
again,
mean,
Yeah, that's a pretty good
I
reason.
think this is a good, rich discussion because this needs to be had. And as long as we keep it, on the up and up, I don't mind diving into it a little bit. But because we made progress with you on the tariff, so I'm going to give you that and say you can be rehabilitated. All right, but we're going to ease into this Kamala Harris thing. All right, and Dr. Lex, please continue guiding us down this path with him, if you don't mind.
Okay, so on one side you have the most qualified person who ever run for office in the last 60 years running, and then you have somebody who ran the term before and it was a disaster. We lost over 1 million lives. Our economy got tanked. He made all these side deals. He made the original deal with Canada for the tariffs, and then came back and said the deal was terrible when he made the original deal. He's isolating us. He's making our allies on each of our borders enemies. He's put these blanket tariffs out. You see what the economy's doing right now. I mean, if you don't get hit in the head with a brick, I mean, you got hit in the pocket. You're somebody's feeling some kind of pain today.
Oh yeah.
I don't understand
Yeah.
any of it.
So Fred, do you understand? Because if you say you're voting for the lesser of two evils, and again, we're trying, and this is
Use the
hard.
left lane.
Oh,
Louisiana
who is
10
that?
southward.
So, how moment you had a chance to vote, what was your opinion about Kamala Harris? Because Dr. Lex basically gave you her qualifications, and from a qualification standpoint, she was more qualified, right? Or
I
no?
didn't I didn't do my due diligence on her. I didn't know much about her, and that was probably the reason I didn't vote for her because I didn't do enough research on her. And I went by the news feed of all the negative things about her, and I ran with that.
Hey Zeus, can I get in on here?
I
So
just
let's
have
just
one
say that that's
question, Antifa, real quick. Frederick, when you learned how to drive, did you take a test?
I did.
I was saying you learned how to drive and you did research on how to drive and how to work the gear shift and steering wheel and things like that, right?
Exactly.
Okay, so would you go fly an airplane without learning how to fly it?
No.
Okay, so would you vote for a president without researching who they were?
I did.
You did do
Thank
that. I
you.
mean,
I'll be quiet.
he's honest about it, and when you're honest, I have a hard time beating you up. All right, like I normally would be doing. So I appreciate the honesty, but let me ask you this, and then Nutty, you did know about some of the things Trump did, right? Before, even if you didn't know anything about Kamala, I'm just wondering, did you know any of the stuff that Trump had going on?
I didn't have any proof of it. I heard some things about him, but like I say, like nothing concrete that I can
Do you
really
know
look
how
Okay.
at.
grand juries work? Do you know how grand juries work? He had 91 felony indictments. Do you understand?
I understand that. Yes, I
Okay.
do.
So they
All
have
right.
to go off proof, right? They're presented with evidence. They have to decide if this is worthy enough to go to trial.
All right.
But
So, like,
we have a system set up in America to where the voters have the right to pick the president, and that system still exists, right?
well, of course, absolutely. But then you've got a guy with January 6th. You got a guy that was, found liable for raping a woman. I mean, these are all the things that you were presented with. The failure in the handling of COVID. So, like, how did you sit there and go, I'm not going to research the opposing party. I'm going to go with all this other stuff. I just didn't understand. Did you vote for him in 2020 and in 2016?
I did not vote for him in 2020.
Okay. Did you vote for him in 2016?
I did.
So why not in 2020?
Said you voted for Clinton in 2016.
I was just getting ready to say that. He said he voted for Clinton.
Clinton.
Oh.
I voted for who?
You
You said you voted for Hillary.
Clinton.
That's right. He sure did, y'all. That's right.
Yeah, I voted for Hillary when she ran.
2016.
But that's
Yeah,
2016.
okay,
sir.
that's 2016. Okay, I got it mixed up.
So you voted for Trump in 2020.
Right. No. Yes, I voted for Trump.
After he mismanaged the situation with the C-19, right?
That's 2024. That's 2024.
So Zeus, I think the best way.
Well,
I didn't
see,
vote for Trump
no, you're
in the
right.
first round, I
2020.
did
You're
the
right.
second
You're right.
round.
what was that again? W. Rick.
I didn't vote his first run. I voted for him his second run.
Second and third.
Yeah.
All right. So, Nutty, you were saying something because I wanted to make sure you.
Well, yeah. So Lex kind of when he said when he told me just a second, that's exactly where I was going.
Got it.
But Frederick, come on, man. Like even knowing the little that you knew about Kamala, and I don't buy that anymore because when Joe Biden was voted into the White House, people understood who they were voting for, and along that ticket was Kamala Harris. So we knew who Kamala was. There's no excuse saying I didn't know much about her. She was the vice president of these United States of America for 4 years. And for you to say I didn't know much about her, that shows that your level of your level of intelligence of paying attention to the political world, because it affects you on a daily basis, or you're just not telling the truth, my guy. Which one is it?
I am a over the road truck driver, so the only information I get is from this radio. So that's the information I go by from the information that I get. So I'm limited to the information that I can get being in this truck all day, every day.
Hey, Frederick, I got a question for you. Okay, so you're over the road truck driver. How much racism do you hear on that radio?
How much what?
Racism.
A
lot.
I hear it weekly.
Yeah, a lot of racism going on in them truck drivers, isn't it?
Right.
So I mean, you're listening to the radio and with some truck drivers talking, and most of those people are racist and confused and all kinds of stuff.
No, I mean the AM FM radio.
Yeah, okay. So you're listening to the low frequency stations too, right? Down there in the 90s and the 91s, and those
exactly.
Red narrative radio frequencies.
Exactly.
So what do you know that the Mustache Man, the guy that caused Germany to get destroyed in 1946, 5? Remember that guy? The WW2?
Yes.
Okay, so whenever he started his campaign, there was this really great invention that came out that he put one in every single home so he could spew his hate and rhetoric to the masses in Germany. Guess what that was?
Television.
Nope.
A radio.
W's for the radios. I knew that one, and I don't keep up with a lot of the things like that, but I knew that's how propaganda is spread. They use the latest technology to do it.
So now it's the internet. But thanks, Zeus. I'll be quiet. I'm going to shut up now.
No. This is a nice group discussion, and I'm hoping, Fred,
but I understand. But you guys got to realize that I'm going off the only information that I receive coming through this AM FM radio because I mean this is where I'm at all the time.
Would you care to believe that is your choice?
My choice?
Because
that's my choice.
Yeah, it was your choice. Thank you.
Because sir, you are holding a phone in your hand right now, or on your dash talking to us, correct?
Yeah, it's on the dash talking to you, correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
You do realize that phone gives you access to literally hundreds of thousands of things to research and work while you're doing what you're doing.
You can't listen, Fred. And listen, we've been rocking and rolling all show. But I'm going to say this. You're going to tell me I'm talking to a brother that, goes all over the country with a cell phone and you only listen to AM FM radio. Is that what I'm supposed to believe? And that right
No,
there is what made
I
you go and
listen
vote
to
for the wrong person?
I listen to a lot of talk shows like this one that I'm on right now. That's where I'm getting my information from.
You use YouTube to do it?
I use YouTube. I use
Okay.
TikTok.
Who are the YouTube ones you listen to? Because now I'm getting somewhere. I could buy this. You've been in a bubble, a red bubble, and so the angles that you've been getting were one sided. It was one way. They didn't show you the full court. You didn't have the full view of the court, right? And so you've been, practicing perhaps, but you've been practicing only on one aspect of your game, and you left the whole other side wide open. I could buy that.
Yeah, I've been a little misinformed. I can agree to that, and I've been a little miseducated. So
A little.
I kind of you got me on the tariffs. We're on the same line with tariffs. We on the same page there. So we have made progress.
What about what other thing? And Shay hit you with the DEI stuff. I mean, she didn't explicitly state DEI. Her and Dr. Lex called it out. You might be okay with getting rid of the BLM stuff, but look at all the other harm that was caused. It's almost like we probably should have just left the DEI stuff alone, huh?
Yeah.
Because we're going backwards now. So what else is there to say we got you on? Is there something else Trump may have done for you that you feel makes you still think like, you know what, maybe I didn't get 50% of what I wanted, but I'm okay with 10%. What is it?
No, I'm not okay with 10%. I'm really kind of worried about the decision I made, but
Now it's kind of like skydiving, isn't it, Frederick?
that's right. You already out the plane. You just got to hope the parachute open.
So I guess I gotta ask this. Now that we're here though, is there anything you know now about Kamala Harris that would help you just, basically say, yeah, I could vote for her now? Have you learned anything new about her since that you can basically say, yeah, she definitely was the best candidate? Or is it just you're still I'm disappointed in Donald Trump, but I don't know anything about Kamala Harris?
No, if I had the information that I have now before I voted, I probably wouldn't have voted for Trump.
Would you have voted for Kamala Harris though?
I'm not sure if I would have voted for her, but I'm sure I wouldn't have voted for him.
And that's where you lose me.
It's the misogyny.
Actually, I don't think it is. It's a comment that he made earlier that we kind of skipped over.
Okay. What is it?
Okay, he made a comment earlier, and he made I was better off under the 4 years of Trump than I was under Biden. Sir, what happened in 2020?
My income.
Okay. In 2020, we had an event in this country.
Taxes that used to come out my check that are coming out now.
And this is what I was hoping you would go. This is exactly the road.
Okay, we're gonna do something right now, Frederick. Let's go.
Frederick, whose tax plan were we under from 2017 to current day? Whose tax plan are we under?
The previous president.
Do what? No. We're under what's called the TCJA, sir. That was put into effect by Donald J. Trump passed in 2017, put in effect in 2018. We've been under that tax plan the entire time because you can only change tax plans once every 8 years. Okay. The entire time you've been under Trump's tax plan. We told everyone that when the TCJA passed, that it was going to give us a tax break at the very beginning, but then starting in 2022, it was going to raise the tax on the American middle class and the lower class every year until 2027, until a new tax plan is put in place. We couldn't put a new tax plan in until this year. Now he's trying to put in another tax plan, sir, since he's been in office, he's got another tax plan that is going to yet raise the taxes again on the American middle class and lower the taxes yet again on the wealthy. This is what this is about, sir. And this is from you listening in a bubble and not going out and actually researching or using that phone to find out what tax plan we're under. Why am I paying more taxes? Because if you'd have just wrote an AI, why am I paying more taxes? It'll told you because of the TCJA. Who passed the TCJA? Oh, that was Donald J. Trump.
Now, Frederick, what are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, I didn't know about that until just now. You know, if I'd have had that information, I wouldn't have thought that he was responsible for my increase in taxes that I brought home instead of irresponsible.
So you thought Kamala Harris was responsible for the increase in taxes?
No.
Joe Biden.
I thought Trump was responsible for the decreases in taxes.
And that Kamala, because you didn't vote for Kamala, so were you saying that you believe the Biden administration was responsible, which she was a part of, for the increase? Because who are you saying was responsible for the increase if you didn't think it was Trump? And basically what I'm trying to do is figure out why you didn't vote for Kamala Harris, right? If it's not misogyny and if it's not the tax thing, then what is it? So you got to give me something, brother.
I don't think that I'm misogynist at all, but maybe I am. Maybe I am. Maybe I didn't want a woman in there.
Well, Frederick, can you explain that video then that I just told you about? That's on your profile. That's how I said yes, you are misogynistic, because if you said you were feminist, any person that says that they were a feminist would not have such video on their profile.
Okay, so really quickly, I'm going to move past that. He admitted it.
He admitted it, but it's a lot of pressure to get people to this point. I mean, we did a lot of dancing. You know what? W to the panelists. All right, they're really helping to unpack it.
Yeah,
okay, so
a lot of people don't understand their internal racism and their internal misogyny until they're questioned like this, and they start to say, "Yeah, I just didn't think a woman could do it." And I want to encourage everyone to listen to Joe Biden's exit interview or speech from the Oval Office. I want y'all to go see his very last speech, an address to the nation before he left office. And I want you to listen to every single thing Joe Biden said. And then I want you to see if you see a senile old man that didn't know what the heck was going on.
That part.
Every single bit of this. Every single bit of it. And so did Kamala, by the way. But everybody needs to go re-listen to that.
So Shay, watch this. Frederick, what do you deliver?
What do I deliver? I deliver all type of freight.
Okay.
Food, Home Depot, just anything.
Okay, so this is what's going to happen if the market keeps going down the way it is. They're going to start cutting back your transport hours because you're not going to have things to deliver because the majority, 80% of what you have in the back of your trucks is going to come from overseas.
Yeah, we are already seeing that now.
Oh, really?
Oh.
Well, not my company, but some of the smaller companies are getting hit.
Well, poop floats upstream when you put a motor on it, especially in Evinrude.
Lex. Well, listen, ladies and gentlemen, this has been an interesting discussion, but Big Zeus has other affairs to tend to in the kingdom, all right? And I just want to make sure you all understand this is why we have to have moments like this on TikTok, all right, where we got to help people get up out of the cult. So, number one, closing remarks, starting with you, Dr. Lex, and we'll work it all the way down, and then we'll sign out. Please go.
Well, as I said before, we're everybody's seeing tough days right now. We don't know what's going to happen next because we have a literal horse out of the barn with Donald Trump.
Mm-hmm.
Everything he's doing is exact some kind of revenge on people that are invisible or people that hurt his feelings by telling them the truth. Frederick, I'm sorry that you fell for what you fell for, but I suggest you find better friends or different people to listen to. But thanks, Zeus. I
Thank you.
appreciate it.
W. Dr. Lex. Nutty, what do you got for us this morning? What a powerful moment.
Yeah, again, thank you for allowing this space. But I just want to just end my comments this way. There are things that I agree with the Trump administration on, if they would actually do it. I think Frederick, I think you'll find that most people in the United States, we will agree to any tax cut for people like us, for the middle and lower class, right? So we will actually agree with no tax on tips. Great idea. We will actually agree with a tax break for family members that's taking care of family members. We agree with those things. We agree with no tax on overtime. We agree with those things. Why do we agree with those things? Because it's putting money into the pockets of everyday people and not the top 1%. But notice, Frederick, in the budget bill that was already voted and passed on in the House of Representatives, what wasn't in that bill? What was omitted from that bill? Anything to support the middle and lower class, because that no tax on tips, that no tax on overtime, that tax credit for family members taking care of other family members, none of that was in the bill. So we can agree that we will agree to tax breaks for the average person, not for the rich. Thank you for the time, Zeus.
All right, Shay. If you don't mind, Shay.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Zeus. You're awesome, man. Yeah. So again, go back and listen to his last address. I want you to listen with it with an open heart, even if you didn't vote for him. So close your eyes and just listen to what he says.
Thank you.
The other thing is...
Oh, you got more to say.
Yeah. No. Sorry. Yeah. So just remember that. Also remember he didn't tariff Russia. So when you guys were like Russia, there was a reason for that. It's very fascinating. He tariffed on penguins, but not Vladimir Putin. Be careful about that. North Saudi Arabia, by the way. So who he played golf with, while as I forget who it was that pointed out the fact that our 4 servicemen who basically suffocated to death, he did not attend their dignified transfer and decided to go play with the people that attacked us on 9/11. So there's a lot of stuff that I think you guys need to wake up to. But thank you, my friend.
All right. And Val, no problem.
Love you guys.
All right, love you too, Val.
These are the questions, and this is what made today a little different than most days we have on here, right?
Yeah.
There was a piece of honesty here from Fred, okay, and that's what you need in conversations. But I want everybody to pay attention to what actually happened here today. There was a breakdown of all the negatives, okay? We took care of all the negatives first until we ran it down to what the actual issue was. It wasn't in the end. It wasn't economics. It wasn't education. It wasn't. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It wasn't anything that we talk about. In the end, it came down to misogyny. Okay.
Ain't that something?
And we didn't get there until we got rid of all the other subjects. I suggest, as Republicans, if you're a Republican down there, I suggest you pay attention to what happened today. Because if you actually go and break down what the real issues are, you'll come down to what just happened with Fred. Okay, especially when it comes to males in this country. Okay, these are the things that these are the conversations that need to be had. These are the kind of conversations I have on a daily basis when I talk to people on the streets about this. And this was impressive, and that's what I'm going to say. This was how it's supposed to be.
Well, listen, it's been very impressive, and I'm glad that I was able to do it with all of you. All right, W to all the panelists. All right, you three. All right, we got to move it on. All right, ladies and gentlemen. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. W in the chat for the panelists. I got to get up out of here. All right. Hold on real quick, ladies and gentlemen. Hold on real quick. All right, hold on. Let me see. Where did? Okay. Oh no, never mind. I guess. Karma, I saw you in the chat. You know what, Karma? I'll bring you up tomorrow. All right. You always send me a guest request. Big Zeus doesn't have a problem with anybody. Honestly, we just got to get through the guest the way Big Zeus determines is the most appropriate way. But you know what? You have a very, very special place in my heart. All of you do, and I'm always sad that I'm not able to bring up everybody that asked me to bring them up. It's very difficult work, all right? But trust me, ladies and gentlemen, my heart's in a good place. I want to give another round of applause to all of the people in the chat, and especially to the subscribers, gifters, moderators, and panelists. Without you, this show wouldn't be as entertaining, engaging, and educational as it is. But, ladies and gentlemen, we also got to take care of some real important business. I got to give one last round of booze and shame, and this round of booze and shame goes out to all of the Zeus haters out there. Boy, oh boy, did you all see me this weekend? I went into a live. You know who this woman was. She's the lip curl woman, and her friend, Miss Sparks. And boy, oh boy, it's my presence alone that just does a number to the MAGA minds. These people will yell, they will curse at you, they'll do anything they can to defend their dear leader, their daddy, except for tell the truth. And that's why I call them Zeus haters. All right, you're not really mad at me, you're mad at yourself because you got played like a fiddle. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give them one last round of booze and shame.
Silence, you MAGA.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, take care and stay safe out there in those TikTok streets. Don't do nothing I wouldn't do. We're out of here. Hey. What a great show. Y'all take care and have a great rest of your morning. All right. We don't know what this man is going to do. All kinds of reports. This country's bending the knee. That country's bending the knee. Oh, the stock market is looking like it's rebounding. No, damage has already been done. I don't care what you got to say. All right. I will upload the show to my YouTube channel. You know where to find it. Just click the link in the bio. All right. And you can actually find all kinds of fun things when you do that. W Zeus in the chat. All right. Let's go. Do we need to do? Let's get some drill, baby, drill, and then get up out of here, ladies and gentlemen, because that's another one for the history books. Let's go. Here we go. We're going to do some drill, baby, drill, and then get up out of here.
We're going to take out so much money. We're going to pay down our debt. We're going to lower your taxes to
Stacy
insane asylum.
Here he goes.
You know, they go crazy when I say the late, great Hannibal Lecter. Drill, baby, drill. We're going to frack. Drill, there's a frack. There's a baby, there's a lots of baby,
yeah.
You know she's going to bang.
I see ya. Stay safe out there, alright? Thank you so much. She said, I like fracking very much. Look, they always go back to what they want. They always go back. She can't help it. She's a radical. Come on, y'all, get up. It's Monday. Hey, and we will frack, and drill, baby, drill. Hey. So deep. Oh, West. Hey. Hello. Hey. We're gonna lower your taxes deep. Insane asylum. You know they go crazy when I say the late great Hannibal. Hit it. We're gonna frack. Drill, baby, drill like it's Hannibal Lecter. Hannibal Lecter. Hey. Get low, get low.
Insane asylums.
You know they go crazy when I say. What
The
do they
late
say?
great Hannibal Lecter.
Oh.
Okay, they say,
Why would you mention Hannibal Lecter? Huh? What are we gonna do?
We're gonna lower your taxes.
That part.
Deep insane asylums.
That part.
You know they go crazy when I say the late great Hannibal.
I see a cute dog. You know they go crazy when I say the late great Hannibal. Drill, drill. Hello, can you go? Hey, hello, can you go? Hey, hello. Drill, baby, drill like it's Hannibal Lecter time. We're gonna lower your taxes. Deep insane asylums. You know they go crazy when I say, hey, how much do you owe on your house? You know that's where I like to start, baby. Oh, you owe $2 million on your house. Don't worry, we're gonna pay off all of that debt. Oh, you got some taxes to take care of. That's $200,000. Don't worry, we're gonna lower your taxes. Ooh, because guess what we're gonna do? We're gonna drill, baby, drill. And then if you're good, we're gonna frack like you wouldn't believe. Because guess what? We got so much liquid gold underneath our feet, baby. All right, ladies and gentlemen, take care. Stay safe out there. Don't do nothing I wouldn't do in these